Welcome back to Inside City Hall, where we are turning our attention to public safety in the city's subways after several recent high-profile acts of extreme violence. Today, police say that an MTA employee was stabbed at a Bronx subway station after getting into a dispute with another man. Meanwhile, a 23-year-old man is facing attempted murder charges after police say that he shoved another man named Joseph Linsky off of a Manhattan subway platform and in front of a train. That happened on New Year's Eve. Here's what Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg told New York One earlier today about that case.
When we bring a case in, someone is incarcerated for a period of time, they are getting mental health interventions, let's say in Rikers as they're incarcerated. Then they leave, they're released at the end of their case, and that scaffolding, that support goes away. And so we need to sort of harden that system.
The violence underground has shaken New Yorkers and renewed questions about public safety in the subways. Joining me now to talk about all of this is MTA Chief Security Officer Michael Kemper. He formerly served as Chief of Transit in the NYPD. Welcome back to the program. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Errol.
What is the latest on that shoving incident on New Year's Eve? How is Joseph Linsky doing?
Yeah, look, you talk about that incident that occurred on New Year's Eve, West 18th Street in Manhattan. Our victim, he's standing at the ledge of the platform. I think probably most of you viewers saw that video. It's tough to watch. In so many ways, it's everyone's worst nightmare. You know, minding his own business, staring at a cell phone, waiting for the train to come in, and someone just comes over and pushes him onto the tracks as the train's coming in. You know, you talk about a miracle. You know, God was certainly looking out for him. He fell, his body went into the trench, in the middle of the train cars. The train drove over him. Fortunately, he survived. He suffered serious injuries, fracture to his skull, broken ribs, but he's going to survive. And, you know, we often talk about the video cameras and the value of the video cameras in the subway system. That incident was captured on MTA video camera, which allowed the police and detectives to make an identification and an arrest, you know, within an hour or so right after that crime.
Mm-hmm. And that other horrific case, Debrina Kawam, the woman horrifically burned to death, everybody else's worst nightmare. I mean, I'm not the only one who has fallen asleep on the train. Everybody has from time to time. Yeah. What numbers are you tracking to tell you whether or not you can get your hands around a situation like this, of an isolated attack of that kind?
And that's tough. It's a challenge. And you know what, Errol, I'm not sure if your viewers know my background. I just retired 3 months ago from the NYPD after a 34-year career. You know, all operational commands, on patrol, the Detective Bureau. I retired as the Chief of Transit just 3 months ago. I've seen a lot. And that incident that occurred on Stillwell Avenue on December 22nd was as bad as I've ever seen. Horrific. You know, we were public facing on day one. Again, that incident captured on video, which allowed us to understand what exactly happened, to make an identification. And again, within a few hours, the monster, the perpetrator that committed that crime was in custody and charged. And I said it the other day, and I'll say it again, there is no room in civilized society for that person. You talk about someone that needs swift, strong, severe public consequences. Outrageous.
Mm. Whenever we just played the clip of the Manhattan District Attorney, whenever we come to these kind of questions, and I've reported on this for many, many, many years, talked to a lot of different people in your position and similar positions, that we've got these squads that we keep reporting on, that there's a social worker and there's a cop and there's a transit worker, and they're going out and they're trying to find the people who are vulnerable or in need of help and so forth and so on. And we go around and around and around and around, and it seems like there are always these gaps where someone's going to get discharged from the hospital and nobody picks up on it, or somebody's going to walk out of a shelter and nobody picks up on it, or end up sleeping on the train, or going into the train to commit a horrific crime, and nobody picks up on it. How do we close the loop? How do we stop going around in circles like
that? Well, I don't know if no one picks up on it, but this is a complex issue. This is a lot of complexity surrounding it. There's a lot of challenges, and let's have this conversation. You know, number one, it's not illegal to be homeless. It's not illegal to suffer from mental health. Right. But at the same time, you know, the subway system is not a homeless shelter, and it's not a psych ward. So we have to find that balance. And what we're doing, and the NYPD is doing in the subway system, is something different. And it's positive, and it's having cops go out with other city agencies, social workers, people from DHS, mental health clinicians, and engaging people and offering them the services that they need. Look, it's 2025. No one should be reduced to having to live in the New York City subway system. There are far better options, and I know for a fact from my experience and what I do right now that the police are out there every single day with other partner agencies looking to help people.
In your experience, I heard this once from somebody on the social service side of things, and I think that they may have had a point. They're saying that they told me the number of people that you see sleeping on the subways or in the streets is basically a referendum on how the shelters are being run. That people don't feel safe there, or people don't feel that it's desirable or hygienic or whatever the problem is. What's your experience with that?
So we've heard that, and again, we can't force people to go to homeless shelters. We could offer it, and thousands upon thousands of people took up the offer and opportunity to go to shelter last year, just from the New York City subway system, just from these outreach teams that I speak about. How long they stay there, they could check out and leave whenever they want, and that speaks to why are they checking out. But the bigger issue or the bigger question is, what are we doing in the New York City subway system? A lot of investments were made, and to the governor's credit, to Chair Lieber's credit, they're putting even more in this year and expanding what we call scout teams. These are the teams that go out, police and clinicians seeking to help people that are suffering mental health and homeless.
Has the National Guard been of any help?
Yeah, listen, the National Guard, I get this question a lot. What are the National Guard doing? I think it's a big help. From day one I said that, I was asked that question. You're talking about adding additional presence in the subway system, uniform presence, right? Mm-hmm. People love to see a uniform in the subway system. It offers them a sense of safety, a sense of comfort. A lot of these, I shouldn't say a lot, the men and women in our National Guard, they're New Yorkers. These are good people. A lot of them are cops. A lot of them are firemen. A lot of them are nurses. A lot of these, National Guard come with a lot of training, and just their presence offers a lot of value.
And on the question of presence, whether you're talking about National Guardsmen or cops or MTA police or anybody else, shouldn't they be on the trains themselves rather than on the mezzanine or back at the turnstile?
So the way they're deployed is that they're deployed with police officers. They're assisting police officers at bag checks or standing foot posts at either mezzanines, turnstiles, or on platforms. We do not have them riding trains. The police officers ride the trains.
I guess my point is, I don't see a lot of officers riding the trains. They seem to. There are a couple of stations, and you probably know where they are better than I am.
Yeah.
But there's some, like I don't know, Hoyt Skirmahorn in Brooklyn, where there's a transit, place, and people are launching, they're deploying from there. But other than that, I can't tell you. Out of every 10 rides, I might see them on the car once.
Yeah. Errol, I love this conversation. I hear this a lot, and I'm the guy that used to do the deployment. And I know cops are on the trains. Here's what I'll say about that. Depending on the time of day, depending on how crowded the train is, you could have 2 cops on every train in New York City. Mm-hmm. Each train has about 8 cars on it. Mm-hmm. If it's crowded, you could have 2 cops standing there, and they're camouflaged. You might not see them 10 feet away from you, yet 2 cars away from you. The police are out there in force, in uniform, and they're also out in plain clothes. It's very, very important people understand there are plainclothes cops patrolling the New York City subway system all the time, and that's supplemented now by cameras, video cameras on every single subway car in New York City. A tremendous accomplishment.
In our last minute, let me ask you, I guess, sort of a bigger picture question. There were 10 fatalities in the subways last year, which is basically an all-time high. I think that number was matched, but never exceeded. And it wasn't that long ago where it would be rare to have more than 1 or 2 homicides in the subway system. Has something fundamentally changed in recent years?
You look at the murders, and you're right. And listen, one crime is one crime too many, but a murder is just straight up unacceptable. There were 10 murders recorded in the subway system this year. 9 of those are closed to an arrest. And that's something that, listen, again, with my background and my knowledge, I am fully confident in the NYPD's ability to redeploy, deploy personnel based on, data, crime data. But if you look at also where these homicides occurred, they didn't all happen within a 1-week period. They didn't all happen in the Bronx. They happened throughout the city, all different periods of time. There was no real connectivity to it. But that is certainly an area that begs for improvement, and I'm confident there will be, but a lot of positives also in the subway system, a lot of good stories. Robberies this year were down almost record levels down, below pre-COVID levels. And robbery's a crime also. It's a violent crime, forcibly stealing property or the threat of force. Grand larceny was down in the subway system. Why do I bring up grand larceny? That's the #1 felony recorded in this. 50% of all crime is grand larceny. That was down. But yes, to your point, murders were 10 recorded this year.
Well, we will certainly have more to talk about, and we'll look forward to a successful year as we get into 2025. Thanks so much for coming by.
Errol, thank you. Happy New Year again.
Same to you. Let's take a break now. When we come back, we'll take a look at the year ahead for Congress. Stay with us.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. For more stories in your communities, click the subscribe button right here. You can also download our app or watch us on TV for the latest news and weather updates every 10 minutes and more. We'll see you then.